The Blue Scribes. The Origins of Magic. Horus was weak. All is near completion, so close. Thus, I do what I am best at. I walk the strands of fate. I take out my bowls and pour in the many liquids, unguents, and balms. I prepare the cardinal points, sacrificing as I do. I burn through a score of rabble, a satisfactory scream coming from each as I drag them onto the altar and then slit their throats. Their blood forms runnels that coalesce on the ground, a circle formed from the blood of the innocent. But are any of us truly innocent? Either way, the supplications have been given, the debt paid in advance. And now, a brief word from the sponsors of this video. 2 minutes, dead on. Let's do this. What is a wee chap to do when the big kids appear? Nothing less than utter self-aggrandizement. That's what. Yes, I am now Lord Baldermort. And you can be too, with established titles, the sponsor of this video. It's simple. The company sell you a tiny plot of land in Eddleston, Scotland, and that gives you entitlement through an ancient Scottish custom to be henceforth addressed as a laird, or lord, or lady. But honestly, it's a great gift for a friend or family member, a mark of deep respect or a good jape, depending on how they receive it. But it is always in good spirits, and a deeply thoughtful or even last-minute gift. So why not get in a tiny bit of early festive joy and put a present in the bank to put under the Christmas tree? And established titles fund planting of a tree for every purchase, with trees for the future, somewhere in the world, to aid with reforestation. So, on credit cards, plane tickets, dating profiles, and the like, the sky's the limit, and it's a great lark. Go to the links in the description and put in Lord Baldermort and help support the channel, because established titles are now running an early Black Friday sale, plus 10% off for any purchase with the code Lord Baldermort. Thanks to established titles for sponsoring this video. Now the first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot. We can build our own little Warhammer kingdom, so let's take over Scotland inch by inch. So smash the links in the description to this video and get a friend, partner, or even yourself made into a lord. And now, back to the story. And it is now that I step inside the perfect circle. Not easy to do, I can assure you. Forming a perfect circle. It takes a level of skill and mathematical knowledge no longer seen these days. Patience and diligence, that is more a test than a feat. For all that I do takes concentration. Not for one instance do I lose it. My center, my silence. Not when I have to slay the baselines for the tithe. Not when they scream and flail their last in my clutches. I am Astartes. Do they think they could possibly break my physical hold on them? I'm blessed by the 4 gods. Do they think they can escape my thrall? Nay, they cannot. And as their spirits float across my eyes, their spectral faces maintaining the ghoulish visage from their deaths, contorted further in the knowledge of their true fates. They know, and I bask in the anguish that flows from these souls. The repast begins, and I see them all wink out of existence with a final wail, as mighty Tzeentch consumes them all, one by one. For today, I give thanks unto the Lord of Change, the seer of all seers. For today, I look into the future. Sometimes I look on the behalf of my ostensible master, and I regale him with the events I see, but not today. For in this moment, I shall look for myself, to see if it is coming into frame, my plan. For if I can see this, then perhaps others can also, despite the new abilities I have from my actual benefactor. And I hunt my own image in the sea of souls, the wellspring of existence. For reality is what you make of it, and mine resides almost exclusively in the realm eternal, the waters of the infinite river. And I see myself in many places at many times, but cannot see as far as usual, not with any certainty. And that is exactly as I had planned. My enchantments hold. Excellent. But oh, what's this? A duel? Glorious. I home in on this moment to see what I can see. And there we are, on that world. It can be no other. Yes, certainty is given as I scry the surroundings. For once more I see the ranks and columns of the Kriegsmen, all rushing into combat, throwing themselves at my allies, as we had planned. For they are now being slaughtered wholesale by the warriors of iron and the sons of the night. The cacophony is sublime. And there I am, hovering over the battlefield, calling out my equal and opposite. So, they have able sorcerers on their side as well, it seems. And there he is, a shining icon of silver and light, a wizard of the Grey Knights. Oh, how I enjoy crossing spells with them. They have such a wonderful flourish in their cantrips, such forceful castings. Like children, they can shout, but they lack subtlety. And he walks amidst the Kriegsmen to find me. He thinks this is his trap for me. And it begins. He breathes words of golden light, calling upon his lord, his king, the corpse god. I allow myself a wry smile as I counter. With a waft of my hand, I nonchalantly pull apart the fractal constructs he sends at me. And as things heat up, as our muttering and chanting raises in speed and volume, I see a rarity beyond belief. For in the corner of mine eye, I see a tiny rent in warp space appear before I can even feel it. And out of it comes a floating disc of Tzeentch. And on that disc are two beings. One scribbles fast and hard, the other watches on, recounting the spells and curses that the Grey Knight and I trade with increasing alacrity. Both are blue, both are small things. And the test is a gripping one, for this Grey Knight is a master of his form. His sanctic powers should have burned me to a husk from the outset. He has more innate power in him than any I have ever faced. His spells are given a strength at least twice my own. Yet, as I stated, he is a child with a large stick. He bashes and bashes at me with it, the spiritual equivalent of a world eater. He is all attack, all power, no finesse. But his sheer level of ability, the amount of warp he can command, it takes its toll. I have been clever throughout our clash, turning his powers back on him, which he was surprised at, I can tell you. Where he is a prize fighter, I am a taskmaster and strategist. Light and shadow play across the field between us. The running Kriegers now ignore me utterly. They are burned and changed, twisted and corrupted by the hexes coming from the scribes on the disc of Tzeentch. But it is time to go. I have fought the knight to a standstill, yet I am running out of tricks. If I stay, he may well win. May. So I do the only reasonable thing. I send his last paradigm-shifting spell in all directions, and he must watch their course, as he knows some will wind their way back to him. And they do, of course. His shields flare, and it is then, during this millisecond of his distraction, that I leap towards the scribes. I bowl into them and through the portal at their rear, and I am safe. I am home in the warp. They glare at me and collect their scrolls, making sure that none that fell are not present. And while they scramble to collect them all, I merely tear another rent in space, and I return to my forces on the planet. My eyes clear, and I am back in the circle. So, the Grey Knights are coming as well. Good. This could not be better for me if I had planned it. Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the factions, forces, and units of the Warhammer 40k setting, the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace, there is only time for war. A reminder that we have a natural history and a mythology channel now, both with new videos up this week, so hit the links in the description. It's good stuff, or so we are told. And we have super thanks, so if you enjoyed the video more than usual, then sling me a coin, or of course, Patreon. Now, let us proceed. For today, we are to deal with two very important demons. They are unlike any other of their level, as they are not demon princes. They are not demon primarchs. But actually, they are little blue horrors. Practically the bottom of the pecking order, right? Yet in these beings is a tale and a deep set of lore that cannot be missed. For their tale sheds so much light on the events of the worlds that are connected to the dark gods of chaos, and Tzeentch in particular, though that is no surprise. We now need a basis of discussion, and so, as usual, for the very basics, let us lean on existing wisdom. From the 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy Codex for Demons, to quote: The Blue Scribes, Azure Arcanologists, Wandering Wizards, Tzeentch's Quaestors. Some say there was a time when Tzeentch was the greatest of all the Chaos Gods, and he ruled his brethren through his sorcerous might. In time, the other gods deposed the great sorcerer in a mighty battle and cast him from his perch upon the endless mountains. The resulting impact shattered mighty Tzeentch into 10,000 pieces. These shards of god stuff were flung across infinity, and the might of the great sorcerer was forever diminished. These events formed the birth of magic in many legends, for it is said that each shard of Tzeentch shifted form to become a spell or incantation. These quickly multiplied throughout mortal minds, and so spread throughout reality. Though each was too small to retain any of Tzeentch's personality, the great sorcerer slowly became aware of these fragments and resolved to reclaim them. To this end, Tzeentch created two demons, Patarix and Zeratep, tasked with learning every spell in existence. Though blue horrors in form and surly personality, the quest required these blue scribes to be more self-aware than others of their kind. Ever careful of betrayal, Tzeentch bestowed this intelligence with care. Patarix can transcribe the magical syllables of any spell or parchment, but cannot read. Zeratep can read his brother's scrawlings, but cannot understand them. Judging his work to be good, the great sorcerer sent his creations out into existence to complete their quest. The blue scribes ride their Disc of Tzeentch through realms eternal and mortal, squabbling as they seek lost fragments of their god to bind them with parchment and ink. Patarex scrawls frantically with a quill crafted from a Lord of Change's pin feather. Zeratep reads the written words to check for mistakes, in so doing unleashing the power bound within on any unfortunate enough to be nearby. The Blue Scribe's mission often draws them to battlefields, where the most destructive and powerful magics are used. If threatened, Zeratep starts reading at random from the accumulated scrolls, trusting to the hand of fate, his master, to guide him to the correct scroll for each occasion. This can have quite spectacular and bizarre results, with a foe as likely to be struck by multicolored lightning as he is to be drenched by his own personal thunderstorm or transmuted to solid gold. In truth, the Blue Scribes can never complete their task, for magic has multiplied in the service of mortals. This is well for Zeratep and Patarex, and for existence itself. Should the Blue Scribes complete their task, Tzeentch would swallow them, reuniting the lost fragments of his being and absorbing the extra power born along the way. It is doubtful that any creature, mortal or demon, would survive such a renewal. End quote. And I hope you can now fathom why I wish to discuss them today. For the Blue Scribes exist in both fantasy, 40k, and the Age of Sigmar, as far as I can tell. And their tale I find very important, for it shows hints of the Great Game and how it has been played over time. The Great Game being the name given to the struggles of the Chaos Gods, one over the other. For they are never content and never at peace. Their battles roil across the immaterium, the warp, far deeper and more viciously than ever they do in real space. Even in the newest age, the era Indomitus, where the tear across reality means that the forces of chaos can stride across real space as they have never been able to do before. Yet, even then, when the armies of the gods seem to be on the very verge of victory, they will turn on one another. The forces of Khorne will assault those of Slaanesh. The legions of Nurgle will take a swipe at those of Tzeentch, and on and on. And thus the Great Game goes round and round. But few understand that the Anathema, the Emperor of Mankind, was the only person, nay event, that has ever made them combine their powers before. Aye, there have been short-term events, but nothing on the same scale. Nor do people really fathom that the Great Game is the main event for the Chaos Gods. They do not all sit in the warp merely thirsting for the souls of humans and other sentients in real space. They are constantly active, perpetually in motion, always plotting and planning against one another. And that the events in real space, no matter how important they actually are for the warp, are but a sideshow. The gala event is the Great Game. So the dark gods of chaos only act decisively in the real world rarely, because it is a shallow and simple thing unto them, a reflection of their realm, despite it being its genesis. They cannot see this. So, the majority of their attention will always remain on their brethren gods, for as we have seen recently, with the new demon displayed by Games Workshop, that other gods could actually arise. And Khorne has the heads of many a defeated god on the battlements of his bronze citadel. So it is right that the dark gods of chaos should always keep their eyes on the prize, for only another god can slay a god. So they must be ever watchful for those of the same power or magnitude. In this light, it is difficult to conceive that anything in the real world would ever gain their full attention beyond moments of cosmic import, like the Horus Heresy. For that battle was not father v son, not really. It was, and is, the constant war between the anathema, as they call him, the Emperor of Mankind, and the great gods of chaos. And Khorne is always touted as the most potent, most venerable and most dangerous of all the gods. Yet in this tract from an official codex, we see another perspective. That perhaps Khorne was not always top dog in the kennel, and it is a source of concern that the Black Scribes exist at all. For in them we see the footstep of doom to not only the other great gods of chaos, but if he manages this, if Tzeentch can absorb the blue scribes at the end of their tramels, then he will ascend to his rightful place as the king of the gods once more. Thank you for your precious time. Do remember we have other avenues of entertainment, links in the description. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun.